We are presented with a very important question by the Lord in our first reading today from the prophet Isaiah. To whom can you liken me as an equal? If we were to be asked that, particularly sitting in a church, we'd probably say, well, no one, Lord, you're God, you're the priority. But the question takes us deeper to our lived experience. When we speak about God, we speak about characteristics of being all-powerful and all-knowing, and in a special way during this year of mercy, we're reminded of the Lord's great mercy and love for us. Yet, in our lived experience, do we turn to God as God? I suspect, and we won't do any public pointing out or public confessions here or anything like that, but I suspect after a short reflection, we discover times in our lives, all of us here, where God is just one of a few priorities that we have. He may be at best in that top tier, but oftentimes, again in the day-to-day, he gets bounced down a few notches. He's behind our work, and even at times behind our hobbies. The prophet today reminds us that God isn't just an option for us to consider, that God created us and created the world, that he knows us better than we know ourselves, and he knows how we best operate. He doesn't tire in his love and desire for us. One of the practices I started when I came here to St. John's was to sit down and meet with all the confirmation candidates before their confirmation. I'm in the middle of, about 2/3 of the way through that right now. And one of the questions I ask is, if I did a survey of all the 14 and 15-year-olds here in the town of Bourne, let's admit right up front that St. John the Evangelist would not be in the top 5 of their priorities or concerns. And they will eventually admit that. They're afraid to admit that, even though I'm kind of giving them a freebie. But then I ask them, well, why not? And the response is almost 100% because they're really busy. And it's true. In all honesty, 14 and 15-year-olds have schedules that none of us had growing up. But before we roll our eyes about them being so busy, it's the response that they get from their parents, and it's the response they get from their grandparents. This has been a trend for at least 60 years in the life of our church in this country, that we have so many responsibilities that we put ahead of that. Yes, they're the lowest group we see at Mass, but we're not seeing 100% of the 60 and over crowd either. Here's the challenge. We are very busy. We are very stressed. There's a lot of reasons for anxiety and concern in our world. But it's to people just like us that Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest." The creator of the universe, the one who made us, knows what we need to sustain faith and hope and love, what we need to do to be true to ourselves, to live the fulfillment that we desire, even in a world filled with anxiety. And it begins by spending time with him, taking time for the Lord in the chaos of life. Reminds us who we are and what we're about. It connects us to the graces that we need to give us the strength and energy to persevere in faith and hope and love, despite the busyness of life.